All right, now, State of the Nation, of course, continues, and we're taking toll of latest events as far as different matters is concerned here in the country. So, Azimio has actually called for a thorough investigation to actually determine the cause of what could have actually, caused the crash that we witnessed that claimed the lives of 10 KDF soldiers, including the Chief of Defense Forces, General Francis Ogola. In line with that, Azimio has formed, or rather has proposed, two names, one from the National Assembly and the other one from the Senate, as a joint committee in quest to actually probe and know what actually happened. That is what happened in one hand. And of course, remember, the country continue to receive heavy downpour. As a result, many people have been displaced, lives lost, and of course, many, or close to over 24,000, according to the latest figure from the Kenya Red Cross, have been displaced as a result and of course affected in that line. And of course, to help me unpack this discussion tonight is one and only Professor Fred Ogola, governance and political expert. And of course, to help us form the basis of this discussion, let's take a look at what transpired today during the Azimio parliamentary group meeting, and of course in regard to the speedy investigation of the cause that actually led to the crashing of the chopper that claimed the lives of 10 KDF officials.
The PG called for a judicial inquest into the accident and the death, as opposed to mere investigation led by the military that is close to civilians. We also demand that families of the victims be independently represented in the investigation and the inquest. I must hasten to add that we have authorized Honorable Anthony Oluoch and Senator Enoch Wamboa to lead a process of establishing a parliamentary inquiry, a joint parliamentary inquiry involving both the Senate and the National Assembly into the unfortunate death of General Ogola.
All right, Prof.
Yes.
Thank you so much for making time. And I want us to just, straight away to that sentiment. What do you read there? Do you actually, how do you, comment on this one? Do you foresee maybe a speedy investigation as Azimio calls for to determine the cause? Because this is something that has evoked reaction. There is one part says we really need to know what is happening, because this is CIA Senator, that is Oburu Odinga, said that, yes, in as much as we acknowledge this is an accident, but similar cases have happened, but no answers have come forth. So what is happening? We want to know the cause, and so that the families could get the closure. What's your take on that?
Yeah. First of all, let me take this chance to send my condolences to the families of all the gallant generals that lost their lives, the 10 of them.
All right.
And let us not even zero into only the CDF, because now reality is setting in on these families. And I think that after the state was very close to them, now I'm sure Ruto is no longer visiting those families. They are back to their own reality. I'm sure that's the moment of reckoning, discovering that he's not there. You wake up in the morning, you can't call them, you can't have lunch with them, breakfast table looks very different. And that's the reality of all this life. Imagine, Evans, the reality of these things, that the day begins very normal. Maybe the wife that day was waking up to go and do shopping, and the children were waking up, for example, to go visit. It is a normal day, and it ends up being very abnormal day.
Right.
Then after that, your life changes until the battle day. Then you come back now to very abnormal situations. So this is a very difficult moment for them. General Ogola is a namesake to me. General Ogola comes from the same county as myself. There's a lot we share in common. It's unfortunate we were supposed to write a book with him on that will inspire young people, because in Kenya we are being brainwashed that you cannot be able to make it unless you have tribal connection and the rest. But General Ogola made it against all odds, a 4-star general. That is not something you can take for granted. And he made it. So it was supposed to everyone, Kenyan, from everywhere I come from, whether you are Kikuyu, Meru, Embu, Eloya, Luo, to learn from this legacy that has made him become a 4-star general and become the CDF of Kenya, against all odds. So my condolences.
Right.
But now when you go to the Azimio statement, these statements are very similar to what we've had. I'm sure they must have read millions of statements like that since independence. In fact, what Opio Wandai is saying there, I have a different approach. It's not just getting parliamentary people, because Ouko's case was done the same way. Parliament was, Tom Mboya's case was the same way. Saitoti's case made the same statement. Ojode's death, the same statements. Jacob Juma, the same statements. So we cannot continue pursuing the same problem using the same tools and not getting the right answers, and yet we continue using them.
All right.
Azimio need a software upgrade, a software update. So according to my proposal, which I have already written a letter to the US Embassy, I've written a letter to International Organization of Aviation Authority to be involved, because these are bodies which are in charge of the airspace. Remember, the International Organization of Aviation Authority, there's a way they understand this thing. I wanted to have independent organizations.
Okay.
Remember Uko's inquiry, we had the Scotland Yard, we had the FBI, but now here we're being told Kenya Airways to investigate. And now we are being told that Parliament has said it is coming. So I was looking for multifaceted stakeholder approach that is going to bring a lot of independence and diverse opinions.
All right. So, sorry to interject on this. Now that we have the team from Kenya Air Force, then we have Azimio is proposing a joint parliamentary, and of course from both houses, the Senate and the National Assembly. Do this spark some sort of hope that at the end of the day, probably the investigation will be carried out and family will get closure, and actually Kenyans will know the cause that actually caused the death of these 10 gallant soldiers? Do you have faith in that?
No, at all. Not at all, because the script is the same.
All right.
Why I'm trying to say so is that Parliament, you know them, they're always bought to pass bills which are not making sense.
Okay.
And those two people also can be bought.
All right.
If anybody wants to stop us from knowing the truth, he can pay them. Parliamentarians collect money in Parliament, in the Senate. So that is a joke of the century. Can you be able to bribe International Organization of Civil Aviation? For you to bribe them, you must actually done something out of this way.
All right.
Even the UN needs to be involved on this one. So I want independent organizations which are not even Kenyan organizations. Remember, FBI was involved in Ouko case, which was one of the most thoroughly involved. Then secondly, whenever an accident takes place, there are always hypotheses.
Right.
And the three hypotheses are one. It's a bandit attack. Because someone says someone was throwing a grenade at the aircraft. Someone says that it was an accident. And then someone says that it is an assassination. Our position at Linda Jamii, all directions end towards what we call an assassination.
All
Why?
right.
Because the one for accident, there are always three things that create an accident in an aircraft chopper fall. One, environmental factors.
Okay.
We look at the weather in Egero Marakwet. It was so clear that even the reporters, eyewitnesses are saying they could see the propeller not moving, meaning that visibility was great, not like Satoti's case where the chopper, the pilot could not see Ngong Forest. And then if you look at the fact that we go to human error is a second thing. Was the pilot drunk? Was he unqualified? Did he not have the good judgment? All those things. Now CDF could have the most qualified pilot. Then the third thing that causes an accident is equipment failure or mechanical failure. I'm sure the plane that could likely even ferry a president should not have those hitches. So if you go to a second one, it's called the bandit attack. Just give me time.
All right.
But bandit attack, we cannot even accept that someone can bring down a CDF with a grenade, because that brings international and national challenge. Because imagine if Somalia knows you can bring down an entire CDF with a grenade. Tanzania, Uganda, and now South Sudan is so risky even to accept it.
Okay.
And on the assassination story, we can tell that normally before a next election, some of these things happen.
Okay.
So we have to look for a solution to understand what is it that is a succession plan. Ogola was supposed to retire in May. The person from the Navy was supposed to retire with him in May. So the guy in Navy has to become a CDF now, so that when they retire, he retires in May, The preferred one for the head of state will come to take over in May next year.
Okay.
So those hypotheses actually are there. So if you put the whole thing together, according to us, the science or doing any research, I hate when Oburu says it was an accident.
Okay.
Anybody saying an accident should tell us what do they find out to mean accident.
Okay.
They are what's called ABC. Just give me a time.
All right.
ABC. I'm finishing.
I'll give you time.
ABC of research.
The
first A
okay.
is called assume nothing.
Okay.
So we are going to assume nothing. We take everything to be a possibility. Secondly, believe nothing.
Okay.
So we don't believe any story when you're doing research.
All right.
The last one you call check everything. So we have to check each and every source of cause so that we can come with a solution and saying this is the issue. But those people trying to front the issue of accident, I saw Raila saying in Ulinzi that we need to check military equipment. Why is this ruling out a fact that there's a human factor in it, there's a human hand in it? So let us not believe anything, let us not assume anything, let us check everything, and actually we might find the solution.
All right, and you have actually put it correctly, because for now we can't really tell. That's why we need the investigation. Yeah. So for now we'll leave it at assumption.
And at the same time, Evans, let's allow people to take different positions.
Okay.
Do you know why that's important?
Okay.
Because everybody taking a different position makes them try to explore if they can bring evidence before the inquiry committee. You understand? But if you block everybody towards accident, we start focusing on what are the causes of accident rather than looking at what actually happened.
All right.
Because if I remember when I was a young boy, there's somebody who was our neighbor who stole our cows. When our cows were stolen and he handed over to the thieves, he was the one leading the search for the cows. Do you think he took us to the direction where the cows were? He took us the opposite direction. When he discovered we're in the opposite direction, the cows were gone. So we cannot allow Kenya Air Force to investigate itself because the chopper belonged to Kenya Air Force. They cannot lead the investigation.
All right.
We have to bring somebody who will be able to follow the ABC of investigation. And I think that we do not want to start throwing in, let everybody mourn the way they want. Let them say it was assassination. Let others say accident. Let others say it's a bandit attack. All that will bring region of information. Okay. Then after a report has come, we shall see how they reach the conclusion. Okay. And then we can actually get a closure.
All right. Well, you mentioned that you have actually written to the, is it US?
Yes.
US Embassy?
I've written to the US Embassy.
Okay,
I've written to the International Civil Aviation.
Okay.
I want them to be co-opted into this. Do you know why? It was underwhelming that I didn't see so many consolation. When a father loses a child, I'm thinking that everybody tries to console with him.
All right.
William Ruto lost a son because he's the chief commander-in-chief.
All right.
I didn't see so many foreign bodies sending condolences to him like Kibaki, like Uhuru received when Saitoti and Ojode died. All right. What do they know? And they didn't attend the Ulinzi ceremony. All right. They didn't go to Siaya. What is it that made them not go there? So we need to get their input.
What is the response right now? So how is the progress?
Yeah, I was just told received. I'm waiting for them now to go forward because I know for them to be part of the investigation, all right, they have to pass through the protocol because we have a commander-in-chief, we have a head of state called William Ruto, so he might or might not accept. Okay. And I think now that he knows I'm talking about it, he should even actually invite everybody so that the credibility of the inquiry is actually fermented. Even Opiawandai is saying we need a senator, they let them go there. But we cannot trust a senator and MP. Okay. Anybody who trusts a politician in this country must be a mad person. Okay. Yeah. All right. Now let's switch gears now to rather some fortunate, stories that are hitting headline. I'm talking about now the floods. Yeah. And of course, this is something that has really affected many families. According to Red Cross, over 24,000 families have been affected. Over 10,000, some displaced. We have a couple of deaths recorded here and there, and of course schools, businesses have been submerged and roads are impassable. So what's your take on this? Because we are seeing here in Nairobi and Machakos, of course, we have seen what have happened in the last 2 days or so. So what's your take on this, and where did we miss the mark? You see, Evans, I have 5 undergraduate degrees. Fortunately, one of them is city planning and urban policy. So city planning and urban policy ensures, for example, water has a path.
Okay.
If you block water's path, it will go for you. That's the rule of the road. Because there is no way water will go around you. It will go for you. As you see building falling, it means somebody must have put building in the wrong places. So our city planning and urban policy has not been followed to the letter. Have you heard people saying that somebody has built apartments in Karen, yet they should not be there? So what was the city planning and urban policy? Are you law-abiding people, whereby when we plan a city, you follow? I know all blames have gone to Sakaja because Nairobi is having trouble because they say Nairobi should work. But at the same time, Sakaja inherited a city with its own problems, isn't it? Has this solved some of them? The problem is that the amount of money being stolen and being lost in the city that can help do some of those drainage system are not there. Look, for example, I've been told Sakaja spent 10 billion shillings in legal. I'm sure he said he has not paid them, but why are you spending 10 billion shillings in legal suits? Because you are doing illegal things. We see so much money going into just paying staff. I told you there's a disaster management organization in Nyayo House. People die of floods. Have you heard where they went and actually compensated those families? Have you heard where, for example, in Kibra, in Lindi, in this Kogalo bridge, I was there myself. A child fell in water and died. Has not been found until today. Now it's around 3 months. Even the parents buried some image in the village because they could not find them. How much do we have people employed living in this Nyayo house here, earning salaries, and the Kenyans cannot get the services? Since you had 24,000 families who have been displaced with Red Cross reporting, why should Red Cross be reporting? Is Red Cross the government? Do we pay taxes to Red Cross? And we pay taxes for this. Those 10 billion shillings set aside for disaster management response, isn't it? Who has spent that money? In fact, we are going to ask Parliament to interrogate how was that money done. The Controller of Budget needs to tell us as well. Even the Auditor General has to tell us who spent these 10 billion shillings. You saw the argument between Gachagua and the governors that money was given, money was not given. And it ended by saying money was given, money was not given. The truth of the matter is they know themselves. We do not have the truth.
All right. Well, you know, we have been there before. This is not the first time we're experiencing floods in the country. Well, I believe that the first time we experience such a disaster like this should have prepared us for the eventualities of the outcome like this. Well, when you look, is it the planning or the ignorance? What is happening? Why are we not learning from the mistakes?
It's corruption. It's corruption because, you see, we are a post-mortem nation. We like doing post-mortems. We like doing what I call current affairs. Current affairs is raining now. Let's talk about it. But let me tell you what, meteorological departments here on Ngong Road, they knew it was going to rain this much. So if you tell us that it's a current affairs because we have decided to make it a current affairs. Rainfall is scientific. Rainfall is not an accident. Do you think it's raining by an accident? Go ask meteorological department. They don't tell you it's going to rain for a period of time on this much and this will be the impact. Who uses that information? So for us, we have intelligence. We even go to the issue of the chopper crash. The intelligence is doing post-mortem instead of telling us a predictive analysis that the weather could be bad in Elgeyo Marakwet. This could be happening. We are having planes which have not been serviced. There's exposure here. We have human factor, isn't it? We have floods. The meteorological department is there. All of them are being paid. They get government budget. And they don't give a report to help us overcome. Or if they give, no one is consuming this report. So there's nothing like a surprise. Some of these things you can see them. It's just that money is allocated and money is eaten. Let me tell you what, my brother Evans, what hurts me. As I was coming here, it's raining cats and dogs. But do you know, on the way, I could see young people like you, my brother, carrying this kangumu in some kind of a container, carrying a thermos with the tea, and it's raining. And they are selling to people who are also suffering from cold. They are working so hard. I saw another woman with an umbrella, this kind of an umbrella, sitting there selling groundnuts which are 10, 50 shillings. They sell to feed their family, then they pay taxes, and then 10 billion is just being chewed like that. And you see the pain of us working so hard as a nation. Kenya is a working hard nation, but they don't get rich because of the fact that their money is being chewed by somebody who sits back there and monitor from their comfort.
And you have actually raised a very important, aspect of this discussion. Well, we have warnings from even the Red Cross.
Yeah.
And they tell Kenyans that, yeah, this is rain. You need to take at least precaution measures. But just like you put it, Kenyans are there, it's raining, they are selling. Because don't you think sometimes even this is just ignorant from Kenyans, some of things that we could have actually prevented?
Yeah, for the Kenyans who are suffering, I don't say ignorance. My brother, you either die in the house or you die trying to make a living. No job, my brother. Look at what happened in Bakassi when they asked to advertise a job. Do you know how people go? I wake up in the morning every day at 4 a.m. running. I see young people trying to sell kangumu and tea to watchmen in each and every gate. It's raining. It rains in the morning. For me, running is luxury because I enjoy running on the rain because I'll go on running. But these young people with umbrellas selling tea, their wife prepared tea. That tea was prepared by 2 a.m. They have carried it. And they have no option, my brother. You are at home. Your kids cannot eat. And you're telling them it's raining. Can your kid understand it's raining? So what I'm trying to say is that they pay taxes. And let me tell this to Kenyans. Do not become consultants for your government.
Okay.
You pay taxes. Don't ask questions, oh, the global factors are not working in the dollar. Just tell them, do we have doctors in hospital? Do we have books in school? Do we have teachers? Look for the outcome. Do not become, don't complicate your matter. Just ask the questions. Do you have the deliverables? So for Kenyans, we are not here to plan for rainfall. There is somebody being paid to plan for rainfall. There is somebody who is in charge controlling the city construction. There is somebody in charge of urban planning and policy. There is somebody in charge of response in case of a problem.
All right.
I remember when I was in Spain, there's a day when the snow fell too much until you could not move. Can you imagine Evans who are called? Come to this room, we're given dinner. And we're told, stay here, we're going to bring some blankets to give you a place where you can sleep. And for those who want to move, we recommend don't move because the railway line is full of snow.
Okay.
And everything is dangerous. That person, we didn't have to consult by looking at, now it's raining, there's a lot of snow, what do? Somebody is being paid to take care of it.
All right.
We need to have a government that says, yes, I have your back. But this government don't have our back. The only thing they want to have is our wallet.
Right.
So do they have our back or they have our wallet? So we don't want to take our wallet and you can't have our back.
Okay, now talking about the government having our back and wallet, and even as we close this discussion, well, there is a very important area that I want you to give me your views on this. I'm talking about now the doctor strikes that have hit 41 days today. Well, there is push and pull between the government and, of course, the striking doctors. There are some of areas that it seems like they have agreed on, but there is one key area that is a bone of contention. I'm talking about the posting of interns. Well, this push and pull, do you think it will come to an end anytime soon? Because the government holds their stand, the same case the striking medics hold their stand, and of course at the end of the day, Kenyans continue to hurt. They go to hospitals, no services. What is happening? Do you think there is an end to this? Briefly.
But let me ask you, Evans, have they postponed the paying of taxes so that they can postpone the delivery of services? Are you still paying taxes? You are still paying taxes. Why are they postponing the service delivery when doctors are on strike? But let me just go to the deep issue here. The issue is that the state have money to pay doctors. Yes, because between the office of the first lady, the first daughter, the first lady, and the one of the second lady, and the prime secretary, there's a budget of 1.3 billion that the doctor is looking for. There's money. Secondly, the NHIF is being moved to SHIF, isn't it? The system is 5 billion. The issue of training people will cost 7 billion. The money is there. The doctor asking too much? No, because let me tell you, the intern issue is key because who is the next doctor? If the interns are not placed somewhere, who will be a doctor in 20 years from now? Because other doctors will retire. At the same time, the interns are important in helping the care service. Do you know that I was not delivered by a doctor, I was delivered by a midwife. So there's an intern that should be there, and these interns are key. I remember that these guys were given contracts
Okay.
During Uhuru time, during COVID, they were being paid 15,000 shillings. Now the 50,000 people came in. So there's a lot of historical issues. So I want to ask doctors, stay steady. Do not leave the table until everybody has eaten.
Okay.
As a head of the family, never eat before your kids have eaten.
Okay.
Don't rush to eat. So let everyone be sorted before you leave the table, because nobody is safe until all of us are safe.
All right, fair enough. Well, Prof, thank you so much. We're running out of time. My director is literally screaming on my ears.
Yes, sorry about that.
Thank you for your insight. This has been the State of the Nation. Many thanks for you, our viewers, for always keeping us accompanied the last 60 minutes or so. My good name is Auma Evans, and of course, Lucy Kiare has been our sign language interpreter tonight. For the men and women who made this production a success, big salute. God bless you. See you next time.